What's going on, everyone? Today we just decided to do a little video on our Toterhome. We travel from race to race, off-road park to off-road park, or just rec trip to rec wheel and trip. Sometimes Carlisle swap meets. So start off, basically this was a 1999 Kenworth T300. Used to be, we believe, a Panther Logistics Expeditor truck. So we are not the crew that started the conversion on this. Previously we bought it off a race team known as Murphy's Law Motorsports. The owner was Lucas Murphy, those who are familiar with Ultra 4 racing, and he started the conversion. Basically built a very simplistic setup, and his conversion allowed you to be able to pull a race car into the back of it. We since have changed that, but I'll get more in depth with that detail when we go into the interior. So the spec sheet on this thing, it's a, like I said, it's a 99 T300. It has the 8.3 liter Cummins motor. A lot of these came with a baby cat, like it's, I believe is 3126, something like that, I'm not sure. But this model has the 8.3 Cummins. It is a 99, so it is the CAPS motor, as they call it, with the partially electronic, partially mechanical injection pump that's known to have issues. Knock on wood, ours has been pretty darn reliable. We haven't really had any problems with it. Made it to the 8.3 is an Eaton Super 10 manual transmission. Everybody loves the hate on the Super 10s. Personally, I love it. Being able to just throw the thumb switch between 9th and 10th when you're pulling hills makes life super easy. It's a smooth transmission. Takes a little getting used to. You could definitely get lost in the gear changes if you're not aware of it or used to it, but for our setup, I mean, I really honestly couldn't be happier with it. So take a look at what we got going on with the motor. I haven't really done much to it. As you know, those are familiar with the CAPS engines, there's not a whole lot you can do to them. It's not like you could throw a chip on it like the newer trucks or yada yada. They do make, TS does make a chip or a programmer or a 6-position switch you can add to these. We did try it. Quite frankly, it felt like the truck lost power, so it's since been removed. But otherwise, you're looking at a pretty much bone stock 8.3 Cummins. We did what a lot of the RV guys do with these engines. They're in a lot of motorhomes. We added a FASS, let's see if you can see it. There's a FASS lift pump down there behind our water separator, which these motors use a electronic lift pump that only activates for, like, I've been told, the first 30 seconds to a minute when you first fire the truck up to draw fuel from the tanks to the injection pump, and then from there on out the lift pump shuts down and then the injection pump does all the work drawing the fuel up. So one of the best things you could do to extend the life of your CAPS injection pump is to add a FASS lift pump. So therefore, throughout its lifespan, while it's running, going down the road, it's no longer having to do all the work of drawing the fuel from the tanks all the way up to itself. The FASS pump's doing that for it, which in turn prevents you starving from fuel, which is what in turn kills these injection pumps. But yeah, that's pretty much all we've done to it, is just the FASS lift pump. And we recently replaced all the fuel lines. So you can see we did basically just all AN line and Evil Energy off of Amazon. To be honest with you, I was a little skeptical at first, but their lines went together good. The fittings are quality, and we just got back from King of the Hammers, and we live in New Jersey, so this thing just did a 5,200 mile round trip, I believe it was. No leaks. I had to tighten one fitting that loosened up, which was the line running from the main fuel filter to the injection pump, but other than that, quality upgrade as the old lines were starting to delaminate and I was finding bits of rubber in the fuel filters. So move on to the driving cab. Gotta love a Kenworth. A little bit. Now this is like a medium duty truck model, so they were basically just built to be as work trucks, but they do have a decent interior, these trucks. CB radio, we got an RV GPS by Garmin. I went ahead, this truck did not have cruise control. You can look on our YouTube page here. I did do a write-up. We added cruise control to it. Upgraded to a nice Pioneer double DIN radio. Got full backup cameras, one up top at the top of the box, the other down by the hitch for hooking up to trailer. Got our good old Eaton Super 10. And then full air ride seats, driver passenger, adjustable lumbar. Now, to get into the actual Toterhome portion of this. So as those who are familiar with Expeditor trucks, they're basically a box truck with a sleeper cab set up to be able to run shipments with teams of drivers. So they didn't have to stop per se. You just rotate drivers out when you've hit your hours, and then you'd hop in the back, sleep. But ours has since been outfitted with, over on the passenger side here, we have a couch, which is actually electronic fold down futon, folds flat into a bed. Then on the right driver's side, we got two captain's chairs, reclining captain's chairs, and in between them is our sleeper air conditioning heater set up down under our table here. And then above that's a small inverter, so that while we're going down the road and people are chilling back here in the sleeper, you can watch some television. But full sleeper heater controls in the wall. And then there was a provision, I believe this was set up for a fold down bed up here, but not too trusting on the structure of the sides here when we fold it down. I have had a couple of buddies try sleeping up there, and it's not the most comfortable thing in the world, so we've pretty much just set it up as a shelf, keep some pillows, blankets, and so on. Then, so here's where things start getting custom. As you can see, there's actually a pass-through from the sleeper to the box. Naturally, they did not have that before. This was later added. I believe Lucas from Murphy's Law set this up. And it's just basically a sleeper seal, just like you'd have between the driver-passenger part of the cab into the sleeper. And this is where you can come from the sleeper cab into our quote-unquote living quarters. Start you off, you pass through from the sleeper cab, and you have RV oven, propane powered, sink. We have our toaster oven, microwave, the converter for 12 volt to 120 and so on. And then below, behind our oven, is our furnace. And then we have our hot water, tankless hot water heater by Fagatti. That's new, that's something I've put in. We have a sea level 2 tank monitoring system, and then the controller for our tankless hot water heater. If I were to give a quick review for anybody who's interested in these things, the hot water heater is awesome. It works great, but you're going to waste about a third to a half a gallon of water before it starts giving you hot water through your sink or your shower or so on. So it kind of sucks if you're boondocking and you're running strictly off your fresh water tank. Got to be kind of conservative, or just suck it up and deal with a little bit of cold water at first. But once it gets warm, it'll burn your skin off. You could set this thing from anywhere from, I believe it's 95, yeah, as low as 95 degrees all the way up to, if I'm not mistaken, 126. Oh, 123, 3 degrees shy, but pretty easy to use. The sea level tank monitoring system, if I were to be flat out honest, it sucks. It uses external, I don't know what you would call them, chipboards, or they glue onto the sides of the tanks, and I've had absolutely nothing but problems with it. And it doesn't even seem to want to work now for you guys, which is great. I don't know if it's a blown fuse or what. Beautiful. Yeah, so if you're ever looking at the sea level tank systems, I just would flat out not recommend them. I've had nothing but problems with this setup, unfortunately. I've had to replace a couple of the tank level senders that glue onto the sides of the tanks. Gone through 2 or 3 of them, and obviously now, right as I'm taking the video, it seems my control board decided to stop working. But it also has the on-off switch for our water pump as well built in. So that's driver's side in our living quarters, and then we can come over here to the passenger side. This was initially not set up like this. There was a bench here that Lucas had put in. We have since changed it, put in a larger Dometic freezer fridge combo. So the fridge on the bottom half. And then we got, and just to reiterate, we just got back from King of the Hammers, so still some leftover food items and so on in here. Freezer up top. And this is a 12 volt, 120 and propane fridge. Runs off of all 3. Little cover spot for our coffee maker and our garbage. We come up here, we got some cabinets we put in, basic cheap cabinets from Home Depot, unfinished. It's one of our spring projects, is to finish painting the front half of this thing. Keep our dishes, utensils, griddle stuff in there. Some shelving across the top here. Then we some more shelving. There used to be, Lucas had it set up with a small overhead fridge here, which drove me nuts because every time you're trying to do anything with the sink, you're just wailing your head on it and it constantly ducking down, you can't see. So we since removed that fridge when we installed the fridge behind me and turned this into shelving space, which we're eventually going to put some cabinet doors on, but for now we're just using totes, some more items, aluminum foil, so on. So that's your quote-unquote kitchen area. Then you come on, step on through here, open the door, full stand-up walk-in bathroom, toilet, RV toilet, rack for our toilet papers and towels. And you can see the full stand-up shower, RV style shower. It's got the on-off switch on the shower head, along with your diverter comes fed from the sink. And then we have a floor insert in here that when you're not using it goes in, but when you want to take a shower, just simply lift up, pull the floor insert out, and you got your shower basin. So on-off switch for 12 volt lighting. Then we have a full ventilation system too. So, you know, you got 4 or 5 people living out of this thing out of KOH. Everybody's using the same bathroom. Pays to have a vent. Trust me, worth it. But that's the bathroom. Also very convenient, easy access. Don't recommend it, but if you ever have to use the bathroom while you're rolling down the road, easy to get to. Just saying. So here's our heat control for our furnace. On off on the bottom, temperature up top. It's an older system, but it thing works amazing. You'll heat this whole unit no problem. Get it up to temperature in about 10 minutes. Then we got, right now we're plugged in. So you got your overhead lighting, light bar, which I installed. It's 120 volt. Then got our switch on the left here, which is 12 volt lighting. Installed, LED. And then switch on the right is for our step, folds in and out at the doorway. And then we have a step light for said step and exterior spotlights all wired in. Then we get to move to the part, so basically you're going to see the floor where it splits right down there, the trim molding. That used to be a wall right here, and this wall was set up where you would open the back doors, and Lucas used to be able to pull his race car all the way into the back of the truck at this wall. And then right about this height, above the hood of your quote-unquote race car, was where your queen bed was, and you climb a ladder up into the bed to sleep. And there was a wall on the back side, so this whole section was kind of separate, and then there was a door right here to go into the garage area. After a couple trips with that setup and you're trying to load everything up, it just came to the point where it's like borderline overloading the rear axle of this truck every time. And no matter what, you're stuck taking a trailer because you can't fit everything you need with the race car in the back, plus spare parts, spare tires for the truck, or yada yada for the race rig. So long story short, we stopped putting the truck in the back. We ended up putting all our tools and equipment back here. Sometimes for KOH we put a dirt bike or two, a quad, but we decided that after finding a killer deal on Facebook on this RV dinette, we were going to convert another, I think it comes down to 10 to 12 feet, I'd say about 8 feet of space back here into more living quarters. So what we did was put a bench in on the side, coat hanger, then we put in the said RV dinette found on Facebook Marketplace. Naturally, this table, you pull the legs out, table folds flat, turns into a double bed. It's an awesome investment, couldn't be happier. And then you're gonna see where the roof steps up. So over on the right here, which I'm about to show you, is our bed space. Fits a nice double-sized bed. And then above this shelf is where whoever's sleeping up top can keep their clothing and so on. So it's a little light switch buried up in the cubby hole here. But you come back, you come past the RV dinette. Got your ladder with your dual handles. I could climb up and show you guys this. It's a little tight, a little cozy, but bed and sleeping space. 2 outlets over on the wall on that side. Charge your phones and watches and so on. 12-volt lighting only up here, which is all you really need. It's definitely bright enough. We got some cupboards off of Amazon for small clothing items, and then everything else we just kind of stack in between. And it works out pretty good. Everything on this unit is insulated. So all the walls, the roof, just foam insulation board all around. So that's your steps. And finally, we have the last section. So we got a sliding door here, then a what they call a 90-degree latch. So this thing does not budge going down the road, which is nice. I was worried about rattles, but we have full door seals all up and down it. Undo your latch here, slide your door back, then you step into what is now our garage space. Full Blue Point tool chest that I load up with tools and so on for our trips. Chargers, Milwaukee chargers. We got a little Hobart welder, onboard welder with welding gas. Some tool kits, fan, vacuum down there. Got some, I store our fuel cans and oil drain pan. And we got some puzzle mats we lay down for when we're working on the trucks or race car. Table, fold out table. And then under that bench down, you could kind of see, is an auxiliary freshwater tank. Holds an extra 50 to 55 gallons, I believe it is. So put back side of our living area, put some hooks, hang up some tools. Full breaker unit for our 120 electric. Spare airlines, electrical cords, extension cords, bungee cords back over here. And like I said, this is all still packed from KOH trip, so this went all the way to California back with this stuff. Bring an engine hoist when we do that trip. Use that for pretty much everything, lifting the trucks up, changing shock tuning, changing tires. It's just seems to be the easiest route. hook it to a bumper, hoist the vehicle up. And we got some spare jacks, jack stands, Milwaukee tools, spare RV parts, some radiator hoses, so on. Got all our straps. This truck is the heater, the oven, and the fridge are all propane capable, propane powered, and it's set up to just use grill tanks. I'll show you in a minute when we walk around the outside. And then pretty neat, Lucas had set up a crank workbench style deal where it's on tracks on the wall here, set up to this crank, and you can raise it up and down. So we package our griddle up there with water hose, crank it up, and then lock it in place up top. And then this is the only part of the truck that isn't insulated. The insulation ends about right here on the walls, and you can see what they used for the foam in the roof. It's not finished up there yet either, so, but we don't worry about the heat too much back here. It's just basically workspace at this point. So, but yeah, still enough room to be able to nose a ATV or 2 or 3 dirt bikes back here if we wanted to on these more local trips. And then when we're going to California and back, we pack this thing up and get all our equipment we might need, which welder came in handy this year. Definitely used the crap out of the engine hoist, changing tires, and I did some shock tuning on my truck. So pass back through and I'll show you guys the outside real quick. So this is our side RV door. Come on out. And folding step with the brush, clean your feet off, try and keep the dust down. And then the underside of the main box of this truck has been outfitted with drop boxes. We store all kinds of stuff in these things. Like this is all our basic spare parts and gloves, as we just found. But keep all my spare truck parts in there for the wheel and rig, axle shafts, drive shafts. Try and keep it up front. It's a giant game with balancing weight here, so keep the heavy stuff towards the front. Try and put a little bit more load on the front axle versus loading down the crap out of the rear axle. Then we got our vent. It's the inlet and then the outlet for the fridge. You can see there used to be a window there that's since been patched when I changed the fridge setup around. More storage. Then we have pinned behind this panel is an auxiliary. Let's see if I can get her open. This latch always sticks. Auxiliary 55 or 60 gallon fuel tank, which we fill with gasoline for our wheel and rigs. Then it's got an outlet there down the bottom. Filling fuel cans that way, or I like to use a ball siphon, just stick it through the top and siphon the fuel out. More storage down bottom. That's where we keep all our fluids back here. Oils right in that tank, or not tank, compartment. So on. And we got our 2 back doors, which are, to be honest, in dire need of replacement. Aluminum's pretty corroded, and you can see where it's pretty bad around the hinges. So if anybody's got any suggestions, post a link. Replacement truck doors, could definitely use it. And then rear hitch camera under the license plate. We got another one up there looking down on us. Keep an eye on the load while you're going down the road. What's behind you? More storage. Used to keep the smaller generator in there that we were using. We since upgraded to the Predator 9500, so that either gets loaded in the back or on the trailer. And then this is where our electrical hookups are as well. So I keep the RV dump stuff, tubes, water hoses. And then we have 15 amp and 30 amp hookup capability in here. a nice long cord. So all 120. More storage into further storage compartments. And then behind this panel is our storage tanks. Our gray and freshwater tanks are there, both 35 gallon. We have outdoor shower. We got direct water feed if we hook up to an RV spot. And then this is our freshwater fill. Then we go into our side cabinets here. Key. This is where it's basically full RV setup. I mean, it was done right. We have our gray and black water tank dump, both valves there. Our freshwater pump, all our plumbing runs off of a 5-gallon accumulator tank tucked back in there. And then both our fresh and gray tanks are behind that. Also have a little hose valve for hooking a loop into our clean out so we can flush both our gray and black water tanks when we dump them. And then in here is our propane. Like I said, just two grill tanks on a slide out. Makes life nice and easy if you're struggling to get a refill. Go to an exchange, or we like to go to spots where they actually fill the tanks. I'm a firm believer that they don't completely fill grill tanks at the exchange spots, but that's just me. Other people have told me otherwise. But either way, just fits 2 basic grill tanks, and that setup running heat, cooking, feeding the fridge will last you a good week with both those tanks, if not longer, depending on how cold it is. So got a little sleeper cabinet with some spare brake chamber, washer fluid, glass cleaner. So twin 100-gallon fuel tanks, so we got 200 gallons of fuel on board. And on average, I mean, this last trip out to KOH is probably the worst mileage it's seen, but it's also the best the truck's ever ran, in my opinion. And it was pulling about 8 miles a gallon average. We've seen upwards of almost 10 miles a gallon out of this thing when we're really taking it easy, keeping it around 65. But when you get out west, United States, 70, 75 mile an hour speed limits, it's hard not to be up there cruising along, because this thing just absolutely loves cruising 73, 74 mile an hour, right in its sweet spot, pulling hills. So yeah, that's our Toterhome. Let me show you real quick our usual trailer setup behind it. Fresh back from California, and we just hook our off-road truck to the back there on this. It's about 20-foot bumper pull car trailer. So strap down a spare two under the truck for the toter. Got a couple of trailer tires that are tucked up inside the off-road rig back seat. Our generator hooked up front here, just strapped down with our. We also bring with a Camco auxiliary tank just in case. 26-gallon unit right there. Came in handy when we were out at KOH trying to avoid paying for multiple pump outs on the lake bed. So yeah, that's it. What we use to haul out to and from all our events. Nice little walk around our custom converted Expeditor Toterhome. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the page, share it, show some people what we got going on. I'm planning on getting plenty more videos, simple videos like this out and about. Show what we do, what we're into, projects we got going, and how we do things. So yeah, see you later.